Welcome, everyone. It's Chris with Little Treasury Jewelers. I'm here with this absolute rock star, Joe Kirk, who's from Grand Seiko. He is the brand curator.
Correct.
Pleasure to have you here, Joe.
Great to see you, Chris. Yeah, thank you.
Likewise.
Always a pleasure to be here.
I'd love to do a wrist check first, if we could do that.
Absolutely.
So you want to get us started?
I mean, I think you should start.
I'll start.
You're the host.
You're a kind gentleman. Okay, so I'm wearing my SBGH 295 Seiko Frost. I really love this watch. I love the dial. It just looks so beautiful with that baby blue. It's something that I wear all the time just because that color is just, it's so versatile.
Yeah, it's a great piece. I mean, I would always love the 62GS design going back from the vintage to modern era when it was kind of reintroduced in, it was 2015 was the first kind of interpretation of it, but then revived later back in 2019 as you, I'm sure, recall. And then we introduced Seiko Frost, and that's been one of my favorite. I'm really curious, though. Do you ever wear it on the strap?
I don't, actually. I tried it, but there's something about this bracelet. I really love the Grand Seiko bracelets, personally. I just think it looks so much better on the bracelet.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty much all my watches are on bracelet with the exception of my gold watch that does not have a bracelet option. So there is no other way to wear it. It's leather or nothing.
In that case.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So for me, I have the white birch on my right today. This is, I think I got in 2022. So it took me about a year after launch to finally get my hands on one. This, I think, is like one of the best watches that we've ever made. I really, truly feel that way. I find it interesting, too, because this is like the bestseller in Japan, not in the international market outside of Japan, but like it's always up there in terms of sales. But in the Japanese market, like this is the most desirable Grand Seiko, which I find amazing, and I love it primarily because of legibility, but also the comfort level, and I'm obsessed with the movement too. So, but the latest acquisition, I'll pass this one over to you and show it first. Also, baby blue. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, but man, I haven't actually seen it in person, to be honest.
The UFA is the halo for this year. It's obviously 20 seconds a year accuracy is a big deal for spring drive. I thought I'd never see it in my lifetime, and really excited to have that acquired last month or July actually.
Cool. This is amazing. I mean, these come into our store and they go the same day. So it seems like every time they come in, they're gone when I'm on my day off.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I'm glad you're getting to see it really today and after, nearly 2 months of wear. So, it's our high intensity titanium. So it holds up really well. Size is much smaller than I'm used to for modern Grand Seiko. So obviously the white birch is 40. I also wear the 8-day SBGD 202, which is 43 millimeters and massive and weighs, about a ton. But it's totally contrasting watch, but I still the comfort level is insanely high. The design is spectacular, very ergonomic design, and obviously now we have the micro adjust, which I think everyone's very, very pleased about.
Love that. Yeah. This is a stunner. I think this might be my new favorite. So
awesome. Well, we got the event tonight with the designer, so I'm sure you'll learn some more.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. Well, let's get on to some questions.
Yeah, of course.
Right, so we had a really interesting release last night, and that was the SLGW007.
Absolutely.
What can you tell us about the theme of that watch?
Well, the birch bark we introduced last year was a huge success for us. It is manual winding, so based on caliber 9 SA5 like I have in the white birch, but about a 40% revamp of movement design in order to accommodate, essentially a better feeling while you're manually winding it. It's all about the, tactile feel, sensation, even the sound, right? So the movement is really impressive and gives you a, very deep connection to the watch because you have to wind it essentially every 3 days or every 80 hours. In terms of this design, we've changed the case material. So we've switched to 316L stainless steel in this particular model with a dark gray blue dial and a calf or actually steer strap that's a little different than the typical crocodile that we would do. So in terms of the overall aesthetic, it makes it a lot more casual, and is certainly, I think, a great contender. Unfortunately, I didn't really know if this was going to be in my wheelhouse, just basing on pictures and all that. But once I finally got it on my wrist and behind the camera, of course, I was like, wow, this is so good. So it's another one that's on my list.
Well, I can understand that. It looks amazing in person. I love the strap on this watch too. It just totally sets this watch off. It looks quite different from the SLGW003.
Yeah.
It's the same movement in there, right?
Yeah, same exact movement, just different case material, same dial pattern, just different color. And if you look very close at the dial pattern as well, you'll start to notice that there's some like almost subdued gray, almost like distressed look to it. So, I mean, aesthetics are incredible. And dark dials are typically very hard to retain the texture well. So this is in quite the contrast of that. You can see the texture very dominantly, and everything's just like pronounced.
I can see that. I mean, you really do see the texture. And that's what I look for in a dark dial from Grand Seiko specifically.
Yeah.
A texture you can really see, even if it's dark. And this is absolutely that. I mean, this is not something that just looks black. I mean, it looks really good. So excellent. Okay, so what sets the Evolution 9 series apart from the rest of the pack? And why is it important for the SLGW007 to be in that category?
Well, I think that, when we came up with the concept of Evolution 9, right, the whole concept of evolution is evolving or improving. And, we wanted to make Grand Seiko, it needed to stay Grand Seiko, like very clearly Grand Seiko, but we wanted it to evolve into something more advanced and more for today's world. So that's, that's a big challenge, actually.
Sure.
Back in 1967, we introduced the 44GS, which essentially set the standard for Grand Seiko design, and based on essentially 9 design rules. And so those 9 rules, lasted from 67, then I'd say 98 was kind of like the next big advancement in design, but still following that same rule set. And then in 2020, we introduced the Evolution 9. And that was a departure in the sense that we modified those 9 rules, not departing from the original concept. So the basis is still all there, but we modified some things to improve for a sense of comfort. So we made like a wider bracelet and, a lower center of gravity for the case design. One of the other things that I love that we did is we added more of a brushed finishing. And a lot of people don't know this, and we're known for Zaratsu polishing.
Yes.
Right? Zaratsu is a big buzzword in Grand Seiko. And so with Zaratsu, you use it not just to polish the case, but also to essentially create the case shape. So you're forming the different surfaces that intersect and then create this sharp edge. And so in Zaratsu polishing, you have to do it to the entire case. Otherwise, you don't have a great shape. It's very three-dimensional, every angle, beautiful case.
Makes sense.
So by adding the brushed finish, we're actually doing another step of labor because we Zaratsu polish the whole thing first and then add this very delicate brushed hairline finish. So, yeah, they call it Sujime in the factory, right? So it's not... not a buzzword so much like Zaratsu, but the emphasis on quality of this finish is great. It gives a better contrast of light and shadow, and it's a bit sportier, a little bit more modern for today's world. So I think those are the great benefits. As I mentioned, though, with white birch, when we introduced that, the legibility is even better. And that was something that really surprised me. I learned on a plane. Very dim-lit cabin. I took a glance at the watch, and I was like, wow, I can read this. The only thing, coming off is the screen light. And so I was blown away at the legibility based on all this time I spent on a plane and how easy it was for me to read the white birch. So I think that all of these are important in this watch because, we're introducing kind of a dress segment of Evolution 9. So it's not too dressy, right? Because you have the more brushed finishes, you have all these great attributes. You have the higher emphasis on legibility and also the low center of gravity for the sensibility of comfort. And overall, the package is ideal. And so now we have kind of a dressier version of Evolution 9. We have the great everyday Evolution 9. And then we have the sportier, like Tentograph and things of that nature. So
everything's covered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. I love what you said about the legibility too.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of clients ask us about lume in these watches. I don't think it needs lume. You can see it really until it's very dark. Something I've noticed personally. These hands are very legible. The markers are very legible.
Well, that was a part of the design rule for Grand Seiko. You know, lume is not everlasting, right? You have to replace it at some point in time.
Right.
So, you know, when Grand Seiko was created, the rule of no lume was because we had all these facets and they reflect light. Basically, just the tiniest beam of light will give you higher legibility. And so because of the ornate shape and the quality of finish, we were able to create high legibility even in dark settings. But as we advanced and developed more sports models, in sport you need lume. So, and also our Lumen Bright technology has improved significantly over the years.
Yeah.
So duration is much longer than it used to be. So, you know, we're getting out of the box a little bit, but I think importance of retaining that high legibility even without lume is always going to be a merit Grand Seiko wants to have.
Absolutely. And you do have some of the best lume in the industry, though, I would say.
Otherwise. Certainly try. Got a good amount of experience at this point with it, so.
Indeed. The UFA spring drive is a very popular subject. And I would just like to know from you, tell me why this is such a special movement.
Oh, I mean, there's so much to talk about when it comes to the movement. You know, I think that first and foremost, accuracy is everything. UFA stands for ultra-fine accuracy, and you may recall back in the late 60s, in 1969, Grand Seiko introduced what they call VFA, the very fine adjusted plus minus 2 seconds a day back in 1969, right? It was an incredible watch. They're very rare on the secondary market today, but historically is a big milestone for the brand. And so when we were looking at, you know, the development of this new advanced caliber that is attaining this ultra fine level of accuracy, they looked back kind of to the past and they thought this is the perfect time to, you can't call it VFA, right? It's not adjusted in the same way a conventional mechanical watch is.
Right.
But UFA for this ultra fine accuracy, plus or minus 20 seconds a year, which is attained through temperature compensation, right? So like spring drive is the same as any automatic or, you know, manual wind if it's manual wind watch. But when you get to the regulation, the escapement that's allowing the energy to escape in a controlled fashion, right? That's where things change. And so instead of a conventional pallet fork and escape wheel and balance wheel, we're using a glide wheel. And that little glide wheel is generating a small electrical current, and it's tiny, right? Almost nothing. Now, spring drive back in the day, it took us almost 30 years to develop, where it was continuous production. That small amount of energy needed to decrease. That's how we brought it to life. And so when we introduced spring drive, 25 nanowatts of power, you know, was what you needed to get it to run. And so this is the essential, you know, breakthrough that we needed was in how are we going to get the accuracy. Right, so the frequency is what determines a watch's accuracy. And so, you know, in a mechanical watch, you have like 4 hertz, right, is typical, right? Grand Seiko, we have high beat too, so 5 hertz sometimes. And then in a quartz watch, you have a quartz oscillator, probably a little bit of electricity to it. Frequency goes up not 4 hertz, 5 hertz, 32,768 hertz.
Oh, wow.
So that, I mean, that's ultimately why a quartz watch is accurate. People think of quartz, they think of a battery, right? Short lifespan, disposable. Quartz oscillator is totally different. So that can last forever. And so we utilize the quartz oscillator for its frequency to determine accuracy. And if that little glide wheel spins too fast, generating the electricity, then it's determined that it needs to send back some of that electromagnetic energy that it just generated, and it uses that as an electromagnetic brake to slow the speed of the wheel. That way it turns exactly 8 rotations per second. Very long answer, I'm sorry.
Beautiful. It's so detailed. Thank you, Joe.
But that's the start, right? And over the years, you know, we had 9F in 1993 that we introduced, and that's temperature compensated. But to temperature compensate requires a battery, and it requires a lot more power consumption than we could ever generate with spring drive. And that's why I said it. I didn't think I'd ever see this in my lifetime because it's massive by comparison. So over the years, we keep advancing, improving our, not just the electronic side, right? You have to think about it. Yes, of course, we're generating an electrical current and we're using that electrical current to create an electromagnetic break. But at the same time, you need to improve mechanical efficiency. So even things like the design of the teeth in the gear train needed to change. So through these beneficial breakthroughs, both from a mechanical engineering standpoint and an electrical engineering standpoint, we were able to introduce temperature compensation to spring drive. And now with UFA, we're able to introduce it at plus or minus 20 seconds per year. So that's like the big breakthrough that we needed, was improving that efficiency across all formats.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Another thing too is the quartz oscillator. When you're making them, some kind of stresses or strains in the crystal might occur, and over time it may change its frequency. So that not much, but minor. And so we changed the method of manufacturing even for the quartz oscillator for this as well. So lots of beneficial improvements.
That sounds very detailed.
Yeah,
A lot of
it's very
changes.
complex. I'm sorry for the long rant.
No, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
But the accuracy is first and foremost. But then you look at our brand as a whole, and we try to downsize our watches as much as possible. But durability, rigidity is also an important factor, and it needs to be long lasting, right? Serviceable always, and hopefully you never need to replace parts. That's our philosophy. To make a small watch that has all those merits is very difficult.
Yeah.
So redesigning, once again, especially from the mechanical engineering standpoint, that was what we needed to downsize, to get it cased 37 millimeters and 11.4 in height, even with the box shaped crystal, which is protruding up over the bezel. So yeah, it's a big.
That's incredible.
200 and, over 250 parts in this movement. How do you squeeze that all in this small amount of space?
Take my money.
Challenge. Yeah. So, and then, like I said, micro adjustable clasp. So,
that's it. There it is.
That's a big request. We've had it for a long time. We've been working on it for a long time. Unfortunately, to engineer a clasp that you're going to use potentially daily. I don't think I don't need it daily. I hardly use it at all.
See.
But, the reality is it can be like a fidget spinner for watch nerds, right? You want to play with it. So how do you engineer this thing to be long lasting and serviceable should ever anything wear down or break? And that was an important aspect of its design as well. Plus, we don't want to, infringe on other people's intellectual property. So, even by mistake, it's like if we came up with a totally original idea for a micro adjustable clasp, there's a good chance, there's only so many ways you can do it. There's a good chance, without even looking at other brands, you may overlap. So having a completely unique design and one that's durable, easy to service, and long-lasting, that's what held us back.
It's completely understandable, and I know you have a high standard, and it had to meet that standard. So
not just me personally, also the brand.
The brand, yes. You and using Grand Seiko.
They've spoiled me, that's for sure.
But that's something people should admire. It's something that
definitely, yeah.
You care about. You want to make sure that it is the quality that all of these clients that love the brand are happy with, right? So I get that.
Yeah, I always say, Grand Seiko was made to be the best practical watch. You have to think about the practical elements of it, and sometimes it's more than just how it looks on your wrist. So
understood.
Yeah.
All right, so looking ahead, what can collectors expect from Grand Seiko potentially in the next few years? Maybe a snowflake with a micro adjust?
Well, I hate to say this, but I can't answer questions about future product, whether I know or not. I'll lose my job, and I don't want that.
I don't want that.
No. But I think that you're starting to see signs, right? We've introduced these great new calibers over the last 5 years: 9SA5, 9SA4, 9SC5, tentograph caliber, and now with 9RB2 and 9RA2, the 5-day spring drive. UFA is a big deal. Mm-hmm. We only have one continuous production watch, so hopefully we see more of that. I think that's a goal. If it's not for the factory, I think it should be.
Yes.
Based on the success we've seen so far, it's really just absolutely incredible. So I think, UFA, we need to try and increase our production capacity a little bit, expand on the designs a little bit, but that's, it takes time. So how long it takes, I don't know, but I'm confident that that's something that is a goal of ours. And then, obviously everyone loves the micro adjustable clasp. So, yes, I think that that's a sound thought, is that, yes, we want to continue to expand on the micro adjustable clasp. I've tried to make this a solid point that we do have a limited production capacity even on this clasp,
Sure.
which is kind of difficult. So another reason why we only have one reference. But this one in particular was also designed for Evolution 9. So will it just work on the Snowflake? No. So, I think that, maybe would need some more time. I think the Snowflake is a good design that could use a micro adjustable clasp. I don't think that all of our watches need a micro adjust. I think that, especially when you look at the dress watches, and the Elegance collection in particular, 9-piece bracelets and things of that nature, those don't, it's not made for that. Certain bracelet designs shouldn't have it. And I think there's a fair amount that should. So hopefully we do see expansion, throughout our catalog with more micro adjust, but time will tell.
We'll see what happens. I appreciate any insight there, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Joe, it's been a pleasure.
Totally mine.
Thank you.
Always happy to be here. So
we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.